Hey, welcome to It's Not My Fault, the OSG podcast. It's Not Popular, episode 22. This is a podcast where we try to talk about some stuff that happens in the anime and manga industry, and also the light novel industry. My name is Justin.
I'm Helen, as always.
Well, Helen, what you been up to?
I went to Katsucon!
Yay.
I was the sole person live tweeting Vertical's panel with all their announcements, so my notifications kind of blew up. I did not freeze this year, because it was warmer. Pokemon Go dropped their new Pokemon on that day, so I caught a crap ton of Pokemon. And I hit people with an 8-foot polearm. It was pretty good.
Wait, what?
Okay, have you ever heard of a naginata? You know, the spear?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had some people from a local group doing demonstrations and workshops with it, and it was really fun.
So you ended up, actually physically harming people?
No. They had some of the students who were, helping out, and they were, wearing helmets and armor, so yes, you were supposed to hit them, so it was all okay, it was all consensual.
This happened at Katsucon?
Yeah. Also, the teacher made sure that everyone who was, kind of hitting too hard, since with naginata you don't actually bring it down, you let gravity do it, he made sure all of them stopped that first before we were allowed to hit people. So it's all good, don't worry.
Okay, I would think Katsucon would make sure that everything is safe and not harmful to its audience, so I'm confident you were fine.
I mean, we did have to sign liability waivers first, but that was more for we got.
Okay, never mind then. Okay, that's safe. Alright. Well, you know what? I'm gonna have to warn everybody, don't go to Katsucon. It's not all that safe anymore.
It's fine. Just worry if you start doing it outside of workshops, but anyway. So, that was a pretty full weekend, and I finished Ushio Tora in my hotel room when I was finishing sewing up my cosplays, and I'm almost done with the original Macross as well, although I wasn't watching that at Katsucon, or actually I might have.
Well, okay, what'd you think of Ushio Tora?
I really liked it. I know I was talking with some people and I was saying it was kind of hard for me to watch the last few episodes because I knew it was going to be really gut-wrenching and hard-hitting, and yeah, it was kind of gut-wrenching and hard-hitting. It's very gar 90s shonen anime with a really dramatic climactic fight, but I really liked it all the way to the end. There's a couple of things I didn't like as much, like the fact that every girl in the series has a crush on Ushio, and a few have a crush on Tora. But I really liked it overall.
Well, Tora's a demon, so it's like, hey, who doesn't love a demon, I guess? I don't know.
I don't love demons, but at least Ushio's a nice guy. Oh, when I was at Katsucon, I did see a couple of dealers in the dealer's room selling plushies of Tora, which was really strange.
Oh, man. I bet you would be so unhappy to see him being turned into a plushie.
He probably would have. And then Macross is just lots of nonsense. I can post about Macross at any time of day on Twitter, and I will immediately have people talking with me about it, and usually half the conversations are, Lin Kaifun sucks. So, that's basically...
So is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, I agree with them that Lin Kaifun sucks, so...
Well, I mean just the anime in general.
Macross is a strange thing. Originally it was planned to be, I think, maybe a year long or so, but it got cut down to 26 episodes. But then at the last minute, they got 10 additional episodes. The last 10 episodes are basically all an epilogue, and the love triangle just keeps getting farther and farther drawn out. So it's definitely got some good moments, but it's got some other moments where you're like, I don't know if this is supposed to be silly. And then there's a lot of moments where the animation looks bad, there's this legendarily bad-looking knife fight at one point. Two characters have a knife fight, and then they get engaged and married later in the same episode. It's amazing. And,
what?
And there's plenty of times when I can't tell if the characters are tipsy or if they're just drawn off model again, so the production quality in 1982 was not very good.
Hey, I mean, when you get additional episodes just out of the blue, you never, you don't know what to do with that type of money, I guess. I don't know.
Well, the knife fight happened before that, but yeah, the knife fight episode was a good episode.
Okay. So does this mean that I might have watched a better anime than you did?
Well, what were you watching?
Oh, I was watching Shirobako.
It's definitely better than Macross. Don't at me, people. I don't know. You're going to have to be the one to call if Ushio and Tora is better than Shirobako or not.
Okay. A slight edge to Shirobako.
Okay, yeah, I won't fight you either way on that. That's a hard call.
Only reason why is because, for me, like, the first, like, part of Ushio Tora was kind of slow to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I feel like some inconsistencies in the second part of it, even though the second part has some massive, I would say there are some episodes that are a lot better than Shirobako, but in general, Shirobako, from, like, its start to its finish was pretty excellent.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I finished that. Not gonna get too into spoilers, because who knows, might be some people like me, that used to be me, and didn't watch the show, so I won't spoil everything, but
go watch it, people! Go watch it!
Yeah, the ending was very touching, I would say that. There was one thing that happened, if only I can remember the red-haired girl's name, I can't actually remember right now. That's her name?
I am about positive, yes.
Zuka.
Yes.
Okay, I felt like when they were about to do the new anime, like literally everybody was, all the original high school club members were working on it except her. I was like, oh great, they're gonna somehow shoehorn her into it in a bad way, aren't they? But I thought they actually shoehorned her in a good way, in a sense, because it actually makes you realize, because it was part of the production process where they finally got to talk to the author, and it was like, oh. Just the fact that the collaboration, just finding a meeting between the two sides, the anime and the manga side, it was really beautiful to me, at least.
Yeah, I thought the way that Zuka eventually ended up working at the very end of the show on the same project that all of her friends worked really well. Also, the scene where the anime staff are like ninjaing their way through the building to try and finally talk to this manga author whose work they're adapting. I thought that was amazing. Like, they just go all out and doing like all the silliest distractions so the director can get through.
Look, nothing was sillier than when them having to drive every stabber had to deliver the tapes to every broadcast station. Nothing is gonna top the speed of the wind, just going through all those going all that trouble, all the police chasing her just to get the tapes to a studio. Just no way.
Did you notice that one of the producers was riding the motorcycle that they used in the first anime they made? They used the same CGI model.
What's that?
So you remember the first show they were working on had that really climactic scene at the end where the three idols are escaping on a motorcycle surrounded by horses?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then one of the producers in the actual Shirobako was riding like the same CGI model.
Oh, good point. I didn't even think about that.
Wow, also, I have some real life stories of people getting episodes delivered and fixed that are even crazier than Shirobako's.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Like, try a satellite upload, like, I think 22 minutes before the show was supposed to air.
Wow.
When I heard that story, we were all just kind of looking on in horror. We were like, holy cow, let's never get into that situation.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy right there. But yeah, there's a lot of nice stuff in Shirobako. I've obviously changed from my very first impression of it. So yeah, go watch it if you haven't already.
Yeah, and Shirobako's another show where they were originally planning to have 52 episodes, but it had to get cut down to 26, so it's really sad. Like, originally they were going to plan for Miyamori to become like a full producer on the end of by the end of the show on some other shows, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could have seen that. And
then maybe see, like, I mean, Zuka ended up getting, it seems like she got more opportunities to be a voice actress, so that's good. So it pays. Remember when she originally auditioned, she ended up playing 2 roles that actually helped her. So I guess that showcased him being versatile. And also a little bit of luck too. And then never, the mantra never giving up. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting show. That is for sure.
And then when I was at Katsucon a couple weekends ago, Vertical was announcing their new manga titles and stuff like that. And the first one they announced was actually a light novel, which was pitched as basically a novelization of Shirobako. They licensed
Anime Supremacy!
Anime Supremacy, yeah, and it's got some illustrations by Clamp as well, so I'm looking forward to that since I like Clamp's artwork, but I haven't liked their recent artwork for a while. It's too Noodle People. This seems to be in their early Noodle People stages.
I guess the first thing is like, oh man, this is a novel, right?
Yeah, that one's a novel, and I think it's a single volume. That's what everything sounded like.
Oh, it's just one, huh? Well, I guess for Vertical, they've released, I know they recently releasing light novels, but they've released, other Japanese novels before. So, them releasing, a single volume is okay, I believe.
Yeah, and there wasn't any more updates on Bakemonogatari, guys, for anyone who's asking, or Zarigoto. No new announcements there.
Well, if it continues to do well, there'll probably be some more down the road.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
I believe they announced that they licensed Arakawa Under the Bridge, which is probably a surprising license, I think.
Yeah, since I know that Vertical isn't terribly fond of licensing things which have already been sort of licensed, since Arakawa Under the Bridge has been digitally licensed by Crunchyroll, and they've got the full thing up there now. But they did license that, and they did a couple of interesting things. They actually had a license rescue as well, and Vertical never does license rescues.
What was that title they license rescued?
It was Voices of a Distant Star, which Tokyopop had published before, and so that's probably why, since they've been doing a lot of the titles related to Makoto Shinkai's work, so that's probably why they made an exception here.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Might have been a package deal.
Yeah, and then they also did, they actually did license a new Niso-Isin title, Imperfect Shoujo, which is, it's a manga, actually. There was a novel written by Niso-Isin, and then it's been adapted into a manga. It's funny, they were explaining the background behind that story, and it was that Niso-Isin had heard about a mystery, and then tried to investigate it the way a writer would, and that somehow inspired him to write this novel. It was weird.
I guess he just has that much time, I guess. Well,
I should probably mention it's called Imperfect Shoujo. I should probably mention the title of it, so it's a horror, I think.
A horror manga? Horror manga.
Yeah, they do a number of horror things, I feel like they do.
Let's see. Flowers of Evil. I guess Lychee Light Club counts.
Knights of Sidonia has some body horror in it. I'd qualify it like that.
Velveteen Mandala. Is it Mandala or Mandela? I think it's Mandala.
I've never heard anyone say it, so I don't know.
But yeah, okay, I guess I see what you're going for. Mm-hmm. That's just more stuff that Vertical wants us to try and read, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I have to say, guys, we're doing this podcast, every 2 weeks, and we can't even keep up with the number of licenses coming out these days. Even doing this every 2 weeks, it's just too many licenses.
J Novel Club, announced a new, apparently this is a pretty popular light novel in Japan, Ari Fureta. So I'm oh yeah, we're definitely going to keep up with everything, that's for sure.
Yeah, so we're trying, guys, so don't feel unhappy if we missed anything, since we probably just didn't have a personal connection to it. My personal connection here was that I went to the Vertical panel, and I looked around and I realized I didn't see any of the other usual manga bloggers who live tweet things, so I started live tweeting it myself, and so, I was the sole source of information for this for a few days, which was funny.
Yeah, how did it feel?
I copied your fine model, Justin, of just taking pictures of the PowerPoint to save myself typing. Okay,
but you... the only thing I would say is, you didn't, you just said announcement. That's, you didn't say it was, new or anything like that. Oh, I guess you could infer that it is new.
Yeah, because I didn't talk about any of the things they were already putting out. Really? Justin, I had to move fast because they were doing a whole lot of them at once before we went to Q&A.
All you need to do is just have the company name, just to know by people, okay, it's Vertical. Just making sure you know. Boom. That's literally it.
Fine, I will create a special hashtag next time I have to do this.
If you have to do it.
Yeah, if I have to do it.
But yeah, even Kodansha Comics just had an announcement too, right?
Yeah, since they had those 3 digital-only titles that we mentioned last podcast, and I think they've had even a few more, either digital-only or digital in print titles since then. The only thing
I remember is they licensed Suhome, the creator of Daisunoya and Blame's new work. That's the only one I remember.
Nihei's new work? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then a couple other works they announced, and they say have more announcements at Emerald City Comic Con.
Oh, and that's coming up pretty soon,
too. We don't record next week, so you guys, I'm sorry. It has to be a really good title that they're announcing. But we're starting to run out of titles for them to announce, so there you go.
Yeah, so guys, you know what you should do? You should follow the Twitter account, because we retweet every announcement that Justin and I are awake to notice.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or whoever runs the account. I think, is it just you, Justin?
It is currently just me right now.
Okay, well, you see what I retweet, so.
All right, let's look at another topic. Did you have a Funimation account during the summer, Helen?
I think I did before the Funimation Crunchyroll merger. I think I did.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure I had that as well. So like I obviously was watching stuff on Funimation, and apparently it got breached. Apparently in July they had a data breach, and we found out this happened because of a site which has a great name, by the way. Have I Been Pawned? I can't believe somebody named their site that. But
if you have to ask, the answer is probably yes.
But yeah, like, so they noticed it. It's February, but this breach happened in July, and Funimation didn't say anything. That's bad. It's very bad.
Yeah, and over the past week, a whole bunch of sites have had trouble as well. Basically, anything that's related to the CloudFlare web server. You need to double check and make sure your passwords didn't get stolen from any of those sites as well, which includes like Funimation, I think again, and Crunchyroll, and Anime News Network, and.
The only thing I say is, like I mentioned, like it was mentioned in their thoughts on like everybody did a comment on the CloudFlare thing, and Anime News Network rounded it up. Funimation said I don't think they use CloudFlare, so I don't think they were impacted by that much. But in general, like the differences between the companies that mentioned it and Funimation is they actually, like, as soon as they found out about it, they let us know. They let people who have accounts know. Funimation went basically like 7 months without saying anything about it. Like, what is that professional or not?
Dude, I'm pretty sure I got an email from Yahoo in the past couple of weeks which said, we noticed suspicious activity on your account in 2015, and I'm like, what do you expect me to have done about that, then?
Yeah, but, like, well, for Yahoo, that's a different story, because Yahoo has, oh man.
Yahoo's got some issues.
Yeah. But Funimation, it's like, they don't, like, generally speaking, you should, if you have a account, you should try to, like, change the password every once in a while, obviously. But, like, they basically went through 7 months without saying that, oh, something may have happened, so your accounts could have possibly gotten breached, which means that your sensitive information could have been compromised. Yeah, that's not good. It's not good at all. They should really actually, like, I don't know if they, said that in their statement when they got asked about it, but they really should have also had I don't think it had anything about an apology in it, and that's pretty sad, honestly. And then
yeah, and sorry.
I was gonna say, Christina, I think the article should be up by the time the podcast goes out, but she is writing about it, and yeah, she is not happy about it either. Because it's unacceptable, right? Honestly, it really is. Like Crunchyroll, like whenever they like have their downtimes, like the servers has an issue, they're quick to let us know what's going on. It's just professional courtesy. Like, we're giving you money to help you guys out. So for Funimation to not say anything for the past 6-7 months, that's unacceptable.
And when Crunchyroll has a problem, they post very sad-looking Hime pictures on Twitter, so we all know something's going on.
What is going on? They should be living it up. Like, they got movies coming out, like Your Name's Gonna Come Out soon. They got this nice dub thing that's going on, I guess. So I don't get it.
Okay, here's some other stuff which I know you're not going to get because we talked about this before the podcast started. It's guys, we're about to go deep dive nerdy here. I know that's what everyone comes to us for, so that's what we're going to do.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Okay. So just like in America, there are different groups in Japan which hold licensing rights, since the best way to describe it is that anime is created by a committee. Each show has its own production committee, so you can't just say, oh, such and such anime is owned by Madhouse. It's got a whole bunch of other companies with their fingers in the pie. The people who did the music rights, merchandising rights, etc. So
you kind of learned this with Shirobako, honestly.
A little bit from Shirobako, a lot from reading nerdy Anime News Network articles. So, step A, anime is complicated. Step B, people like making money with anime. And so we've got Avex Pictures Anime and Music, which is one of these companies in Japan which owns some of the rights to various productions. The one I'm going to use as an example here is Yuri on Ice, since everyone knows what Yuri on Ice is. And so the big news is that everything that they distribute is not going to be allowed to be sold internationally from online stores like Amazon Japan, HMV Japan, CD Japan, AmiAmi, etc., etc. So everyone who wanted to import titles like the Japanese Blu-rays of Yuri on Ice, which have a whole lot of really cool extras, legally can't anymore. Like, they cannot be sold to you.
That's odd. Why would they do that?
Okay, so I'm looking at reporting from Sakugaburo, guys, so if anyone wants to read more on it, we can probably link to it in the description. But the basic idea seems to be that Avex is trying to open up some international branches of the company, I guess is the best way to put it. I think especially in Southeast Asia. So to grow those smaller sections of the company, they're trying to force fans to buy from those parts of the company instead. So, like, say, I'm going to use as an example, the Philippines. Like, a fan from the Philippines then would have to buy from this newer Southeast Asia group instead of the main Japanese branch. So that's what they're trying to do, but that cuts out a lot of the rest of the world, since there's a whole lot of people, you know, in Europe and North America, and even beyond that, who probably want to import the Yuri on Ice Blu-rays because the entire flipping world watched Yuri on Ice, and you can't do it now, and this is really frustrating. It sounds like Avex kind of has a North American US office, but they haven't really done anything with it yet. So it's not even like, we're changing things, but here's your alternative. It's, we're changing things and, we're not being very professional about this.
Well, they better start getting to work with that US site soon if this is the case. I don't understand.
Seriously, I mean, they're like actually leaving money on the table here,
I
like a good amount of money.
I don't understand it. That's
since like one of their other big titles from the past couple of years is Mr. Osomatsu, which was also a huge seller in Japan, and I've always gotten the impression it does have a decent amount of worldwide fans as well. So it's like, y'all are gonna lose money.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Like, it makes me think a little bit back to Attack on Titan. A couple years ago when that came out, it wasn't actually like licensed for streaming in the US. So no, literally
Attack on Titan was totally licensed for streaming.
No, like the very first
Attack on Titan was totally licensed for streaming. Both Crunchyroll and Funimation had it.
The first, if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't initially licensed, but what happened was after the first episode aired, like a couple days later, Funimation announced they had it, then Crunchyroll announced they had it. It was like,
I think they did.
Guys,
I think they did that before it aired.
No,
I'm pretty sure they had that before it aired, because I remember that was the first time they were sharing a licensed title. So I was like, wow, this is going to be big then if they're fighting for it.
That's probably true. They might have had it, but like, it should have been like most of the other titles they already had out. Why did it take so long for the first episode of Attack on Titan to actually air? Like,
see, I think you're misremembering this, because I'm remembering something totally different. We need to both go to our corners of the internet and pull out
I can totally tell you, like, that's what happened. Like, the first episode did not air. Like, the only time it aired like a couple days after that.
Well, I mean, sometimes they do have trouble getting like the first episode of new shows out, since we all know that like Zach from Anime News Network has complained that there's a lot of times during preview weeks where they're like, okay, when is this new show gonna drop? Because if we don't know, everyone's gonna have to drop everything they're doing and rush to watch it. So, I mean, that happens a lot with simulcasting, just working out the kinks of the first episode.
Right. But I guess that's kind of what this Avex thing reminds me of. It's like, it's kind of like on the Japan end, where either they're just like not getting this business, or, well, I mean, they have to understand the market a little bit, but like,
in theory,
yeah, but they can make more money by letting other people get their titles. So I don't. This is mysterious. There must be. I feel like there's like just like something up. Honestly, there has to be something more.
I can understand what they're trying to do if they want to like be like, say, Aniplex and open up, you know, an American branch, you know, that can more closely focus on that country's consumers, trends, etc. But they're putting it out in a pretty disjointed way. And again, guys, I think I've understood this pretty well. We'll link to the Sakugaboro write-up and the description later on so people can look at it for themselves. It's pretty deep nerdy.
Is there anything else nerdy that you might want to tell me too?
I mean, I'm all for talking about nerdy things all the time. Justin, we are doing a flipping anime podcast. This is pretty darn nerdy.
Yeah, that's true.
But on a related note, Justin, have you ever seen anything from Battleship Yamamoto? Like, have you actually ever seen any of the TV series or movies? Because
I've been
I haven't.
wanting to, but I haven't, sadly.
Yeah, I haven't either, and it's about to get even more complicated for American fans. It's an older franchise which has had a couple of remakes in past years, and 2199 came out a couple of years ago, probably 3 or 5 now. And they're doing another series, I think, called 2099, or no, 2202. I don't know how they get these numbers. And the thing is that the Japanese Blu-rays and DVDs, I think both had English subtitles for $21.99, and they had this really bizarre PR campaign to sell it to American fans. Like, you could only order it directly from Bandai's website online at first, and then from Right Stuff's website later, I think. And they hired, like, a Japanese gravure idol to do, like, YouTube videos promoting the series where she spoke in kind of bad English and cosplayed as one of the characters. And then I think they didn't release all of them. But now they're putting out 2202 in Japan, and that one doesn't have English subtitles on it at all. So basically, if you ever want to try out any of Yamamoto, like Justin and I do, you're gonna have to go to the fan subs.
Oh, don't worry. Some people will say you have to just learn the Japanese, I think, right? I think that's...
Dude, I don't have time. I've been trying. I just don't have time anymore.
That's what the people say?
It is.
Yeah, that sounds weird.
Or they're like, you should import, but it's like, but if people aren't letting me import, and if these things don't have subtitles on them, well, we're still screwed.
Yeah, it sounds weird. Like, I guess no other company can license the series, right?
You know, that's the thing. I don't know why anyone hasn't licensed it yet, since Bandai Visual hasn't had a U.S. branch in a couple of years. I think about 4 years or so, and most of their titles have been picked up by other companies, like FUNimation just picked up Go Sick recently, which was supposed to be one of the titles they never got around to releasing. But I don't know if there's anything going on there which prevents the series from being licensed, or if people just don't want to touch a really long-running series that people haven't had previous exposure to, that they'd have to do a lot of marketing for to bring fans up to speed.
That might be it, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I want to watch my space operas!
Nah.
Now I'm going to have to keep watching Macross illegally.
Just watch something from Ghibli. How about you do that?
You're right. Kingdom of Dreams and Madness is going off on Netflix later this month, so I do need to get to
that. Speaking of Ghibli, Miyazaki's back.
Is this time number 3 or time number 4?
As in the Hayao Miyazaki. Yeah, he is back for the 4th? You said 4th time? Or is it 5th time?
Maybe 3rd, because I'm pretty sure he was supposed to have retired before Spirited Away.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he has been retiring and unretiring longer than some of my siblings have been alive.
Yeah, like the only comparison I can make to Hayao Miyazaki is in the NFL there used to be a quarterback for the Green Bay Packers named Brett Favre. He would, like, around like his late 30s, he would waffle whether or not he was going to retire or whether he was going to stay with the Packers, and then he would come back. And then he ended up getting cut because he had a quarterback already, and then he goes sign with another team. He does really well, and then after that season, they wonder if he's going to retire or play again. So it's like, oh, come on already. Stop it. You must love the drama. So for Hayao Miyazaki, yeah, like, if just to get you up to speed, I think the last movie he did was The Wind Rises, right?
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago.
That was supposed to be his last movie. And yeah, that was... As some people had already suspected, it probably was not going to be his last movie. And then honestly, like, whenever I, like, hear about him, it's either in, like, he's criticizing somebody or something. So I'm thinking, you know what? He's not going to sit in this silence for long. He's just not. Like, dude, like, there was this video where he was criticizing, like, this 3D look or something.
Oh, I saw that. I was actually on Miyazaki's side for once.
Like it was brutal. It's so brutal. So yeah,
Hayao Miyazaki, the Brett Favre of anime.
Yeah, get that sports reference in there. Okay. So in a general sense, I guess that's cool to see what else he can potentially do. Personally, I have something a little bit cooler than that. That's because I'm kind of into history a little bit, anime history.
Only a little bit.
Just to make sure I get these names right, the National Film Center at the National Museum of Modern Art in Tokyo, they started a collection of animated works. They put them up on their site from 1917 to 1941. They're going to be free for the rest of the year. The best part is you can totally watch it in English subtitles. It's a little bit of a complicated. It's not that complicated a process. The only thing is you just have to go to the site, click one of the videos. Make sure you click the red box, and then when you click the red box, you get to see the video player. You see below you can watch it in English subtitles. So literally, there's a bunch of old anime or animated stuff from Japan that I can totally watch, and I think that's pretty cool, honestly.
So listeners, go out, get cultured, watch history.
Basically. Or just see how bad everything is back then. Because
I mean, it can't be any worse than Macross looks sometimes.
Like I'm pretty sure some of these are not going to be that great. But hey, it's history.
As long as it's not another what was it, Jiggly Jiggly Heaven episode 8 from Shirobako?
Oh, I don't think we need to see that. I don't think anybody needs to see that, and then especially in black and white too. Definitely not necessary. Aho Girl and Love and Lies are getting turned into an anime. Aho Girl is actually a manga I used to read because it was done by the author of Dojin Work, Hiroyuki, and the guy and they also comic artists and his assistants. That was like the one title that Kodansha licensed that I never thought was gonna get licensed. And that's the same thing for Love and Lies because it's a manga box title, and I'm thinking, man, it's not gonna be that. These manga box titles are kind of short and like. There's no way they're going to be licensed or anything like that, and then Kodansha licensed it. And I'm like, dang, I can't believe they actually licensed it. Now this news of the anime, it really just makes me wonder about my unfounded theory that I really want to do an article about this someday. But I've been noticing, at least to me, it feels like the US companies are more connected with what's going on in Japan. Which is why, like, we've seen more with the, like, titles that get brought over. They have animes coming out. Like they're animes that they're works so they can adapt it into anime to be more precise, and the industry here is getting more tapped into that than ever before. And I'm like, is this true or is this not true?
Justin, that's not even a conspiracy theory. Like, I'm pretty sure that some of the companies have said, yeah, when we talk with people, we do know if there's an anime coming, so we can cross promote and stuff like that. I don't think that's even a conspiracy theory.
Well, I don't know. It feels like even back in the old days, like there wasn't that many titles like that.
Well, I mean, in like the past 2 years.
Well, okay, the past 2 years, maybe. Yeah, I guess you could say that. I guess I meant like before, or I guess maybe because we're just in a new era where things are just getting popular now. I don't know.
Justin, you're the one with contacts at the manga companies. Go out, go interview them, and I will expect this report.
I will.
Probably not my editing desk, since I'm really bad at editing. You don't want to see how I handle semicolons now.
Oh boy.
Put it on someone else's desk for editing. On Monday.
Okay. What if you say so? And then just the last thing. This is more like personal for me. I didn't realize this, but the author Jiro Taniguchi passed away at 69. It's pretty young. So my condolences. That's for sure. The only work of his I actually remember reading. Like, I did read Kuroku Gourmet, but I can't remember. It was a J manga title, if I'm not mistaken, but I can't remember most of it. But I did read A Zoo in Winter, and that was an awesome manga. It was basically Bakuman, but, like, a heck of a lot more mature. Like, actually, like, it feels more realistic, honestly. Because you have, like, an adult, he's not sure necessarily what he wants to do. And then, look at that. Gets to draw manga. There you go. It was released, should be Fantagraphics. They've released a couple of his works here. So you just search up Fantagraphics, and you might be able to find some of his titles. But yeah, he was a pretty important manga artist in Japan. So and some of his works has come here. So I feel that we should have highlighted that last podcast, but I totally missed out on that. So
there's so much news every week, guys. There's so much news.
Yeah, we missed out on stuff, sadly. But we try to highlight what we can that we think we can talk about. And in this case, I just want to let you know that you should totally read Azu in Winter.
Okay, noted. Okay, so we're also going to be starting a new section of the podcast this week where Justin and I have kind of a spoiler cast talking about something that we've both seen or read. And we're exploring this new section of the podcast with a manga which we've both been following for a while, Yamada-Kun and the Seven Witches, which has just finally ended. So, Yamada-Kun was turned into an anime a couple of years ago, which covered what manga fans now refer to as the first major arc of the anime. We're going to be talking about stuff after the end of that. So if you don't want to be spoiled, this is a good time to turn off the podcast and go get your butt over to Crunchyroll and keep reading the manga. If you do want to be spoiled, however, strap in.
Yes, please listen to us be a little sad, Ran. I'm not really sure how... I'm honestly not sure. After I finished it, I'm not sure of my emotions, to be quite honest with you.
There were some confusing emotions on my end, I'll admit that.
I guess okay. Just to get this out of the way, the way Yamada-Kun was drawn as an adult is pretty ugly. That's the first thing we get out of the way. Now let's continue with the seriousness.
Okay, so Justin, do you want to describe the series, or should I describe the series?
I guess you can describe the series. Try doing like a sentence.
One sentence. Lots of people kiss.
Okay, that's good enough. No.
Lots of people kiss because they have magic powers.
Yeah. I guess we could just say it starts with the Yamada-Kun, Yamada. Delinquent, not very smart. He ends up being a really pretty girl that's really smart. In the weirdest way possible. They kiss on the stairs.
Well, they fall down the stairs. It's Attack of the Shoujo stairs. And they kiss in the process of falling down.
Yes. And they end up discovering that they actually switch bodies. Which is highly unusual, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I've never heard any of my friends complaining about any of these things, so I'm going to go with you there.
Yeah. So they end up discovering that, through a series of processes, that they're not the only ones that have these powers, or can actually, or the power of kissing is important. There's other people that can do it too. And they have different types of powers. And throughout the 243, I think that should be last year, 243. It's been a lot of twists and turns, that is for sure. So you say you want to...
So much smooching.
Yeah, lots of smooching, that is for sure. So okay, I guess it's we're trying to remember the first... I'm trying to remember the anime a little bit, because it did truncate some things. It had to cut a lot of stuff out, some stuff out, just so it could do its 12... Was it 12 or 13? I think it was 12 episodes, right?
I don't remember, but yeah, the first episode of the anime corresponds to, the entire first volume of the manga. They get, Yamada and this girl, Shiraishi, they get them kissing, body switching, boom, and then they've got, another major side character, Miyamura, popping up, and then they reform this old club, which was dedicated at the school to finding these witches, these people with the kissing magical powers. And so they've got that reformed by the end of the first episode, and they are off to try and find the other 6 witches in the school.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Yeah. And I think the anime ends... Did the anime end with them getting them all together? I think it did, right?
Yeah, so the anime ends with the end of the first major arc, which is that Yamada, Miyamura, Shiraishi, and a couple other members of their club get all of these 7 witches together. So we've got the power of body switching, charms, mental telepathy, not being noticed. A couple of them involve seeing people's pasts and futures, and then the power of memory erasure. They get them all together and they perform this witch ceremony where what ends up happening is that Yamada wishes in this ceremony, that's what it does, it grants one wish, to get rid of the witch powers, and that's where the first arc ends. Gets rid of those powers and also returns some people's memories, since this series has a lot of people losing their memories, because when you've got a witch who can control people's memories, it's going to happen pretty often.
Yeah. But I think after that first arc ended, I don't think anybody could have anticipated that there'd be a more of a dire secret, more erasing than possible. So
oh, and Justin, we forgot the most important part. Yamada, despite being a dude, is not one of the witches, but he also has powers. He has the power to copy anyone's ability from kissing.
Yeah, that's kind of important.
Which is how you get 4 characters at once body switching. Which is pretty funny, actually.
It's
the body switching was definitely the best part of this manga.
Yeah, because you can get the standard harem, standard kissing, but then you get the guy on guy kissing. It's
and Amber is totally down for it. He's like, yes, Yamada, let's consummate our love. And Yamada's like, what? No, stop this. Stop this.
Yeah. And then I think in one of these chapters where literally you had a foreign exchange student doing kissing, and then you have him kissing.
You're getting ahead of yourself. You're in the 3rd arc by this point.
Okay, fine. We're gonna go in that order. I'm just trying to just how crazy it gets. But okay,
so back to the first arc.
Ends,
so the characters have spent a lot of time getting these witches together, and they faced opposition by the student council, who knows about the witches and tries to keep them all in line, keep them from doing anything strange. And there's all these secrets going on. It turns out that Miyamura's sister was also researching the witches when she was at this high school, but the 7th witch, the one with memory erasure, found her, so she's been hiding out at home for a couple of years ever since. And just a whole bunch of wacky things are going on. And that would have been a good place to end the manga. It sounds like the mangaka, Miki Yoshiwa, I think? Yoshikawa, there we go. Actually intended to end it there first, but then it sounds like the series is popular enough they kept going. So then we get to the 2nd arc, and hey, Justin.
Yes?
There's more witches!
Yes!
And this also happened another time. So the correct title of the series is not Yamada-Kun and the 7 Witches. It's more like Yamada-Kun and the 7 raised to the power of 3 witches. Or wait, not raised to the power of 3, wait a minute. Yamada-Kun and the 21 witches, or so, plus a couple of more guys.
Well, they kind of get away with it because there literally can only be 7 witches.
No, there's 14 witches at one point. There's 14 witches simultaneously at one point. Because what happens, it turns out they couldn't actually get rid of the witch powers. They just transferred to 7 other unhappy individuals in the school. So that's one of the conditions for getting witch powers. It has to be people who are unhappy of something, and the witch power kind of represents what they want. They want people to love them. They want to be able to reach out through their shyness and talk to people, etc. So then the powers jump to another set of witches who are all guys. And so there's a whole set of 7 witches there. But then it turns out there was yet another set of 7 witches all along from the very beginning. And so the 2nd and 3rd arcs deal with both of those groups, since Yamada actually still has his powers of copying witch powers. And so they hold the ceremony I think 2 more times. At least once, I think 2 more times. Things started getting really weird towards the end of the manga, folks, so I'm trying to remember the order of events. But they have to go around. It turns out there was a lot of memory erasure from everyone's first year of high school, which is why all these characters are like, wait a minute, I don't actually remember what we did our freshman year. What did we do?
Yeah, what happened? We did do something, right?
How many people have been crushing on Yamada? Well, it turns out it's an even larger number than you thought. And so it keeps going, and it keeps going. And eventually we get to the end of the manga, since the story decides at one point, hey, we're actually going to have the characters go through their 2nd and 3rd years of schools. Yamada is going to try and get into a really good university to impress Shiraishi, who he's been dating for quite a while. The 2 of them actually do start dating, I think, really at the end of the 1st arc. And this gets to be a problem since Shiraishi at that point doesn't have her powers anymore, but Yamada does. So it's I can't really kiss you or something weird's about to happen, because the last person I kissed.
Yeah.
And so it just keeps going, and it just keeps going, and it definitely gets to a point where it's I feel like we need to end this. I feel like we've got too many plot threads piled up on top of each other.
Personally, for me, it was just nice to see all these characters and then just see what kind of either hijinks or really the silly stuff they can get into. But I felt okay, this is getting a little bit confusing. I think you should probably consider ending this soon. Yeah,
oh my god, there's this plot thread with the student president from everyone's first year of school, and that doesn't get resolved until literally the last 5 chapters of the manga. It's just hanging there for a while, and it's wait a minute, weren't we going somewhere with this one?
Yeah. And then they actually the last 5 chapters. If you want to get that far,
Yeah, since they do some things with the witch powers that I'm not happy with.
Yeah. Like the last 5 chapters, like it reminded me, like, did we really get into Shirashi's like past? Like I didn't think they hint. Like I started remembering that they kind of hinted, like at the start of the series, like she didn't have any goals really. She didn't want to go to college, so it kind of, and she obviously was by herself, so it kind of implied that there was some things about her past. But I felt like they literally just like do it in there, like these last, like I guess the last 2 chapters really.
Yeah, and we hadn't really gotten a lot of backstory on most of the other characters. Like, we'd gotten a bit on Yamada as the time goes on, since he's trying to wrestle with the fact that he's been this delinquent, and then it eventually turns out he actually wasn't a delinquent his first year. That was all thanks to the weird witch powers, changing people's memories. As we get to his background, and the background of his good friend as well, since his friend was tied up in this supposed delinquentry. But, so it didn't actually feel odd that Shiraishi didn't have a lot of background. And then I feel like they kind of changed the rules on how the witch powers worked, and it tied them even more closely to Shiraishi, and it's like, dude, you've got only 5 chapters left, don't make this more complicated, you don't need to, you can just end this much more smoothly, like, Occam's razor, I will invoke Occam's razor here, where was your editor? Was your editor just like throwing up their hands going, I give up?
I guess they wouldn't say giving up. It's more like we need to figure out a way to end this in a kind of mediocre, decent, average manner. I don't know. So yeah, like I was. I guess we should start like, where do you think like you could say like it went wrong? I guess.
I would.
Because I felt like
you first.
I'm sorry. No, because I was gonna say like it was going right to a point. Like it was still entertaining and stuff like that. But I would say, like, between, like, I know what happened in the second arc, where it was either when they took a trip, just to let you know, they've taken a lot of trips in this series. They took a trip, and it involved the class, they just call her class president, right? The one with the glasses.
That was the third arc, not the second arc, but yeah.
That was third arc? Okay, that was third arc?
I think that was the third arc, but yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, that's where things got even weirder.
Like, it just felt like, okay, I'm a little bit like, what is happening here?
Yeah, since with the class president, they introduced, like, oh, someone else has these other sort of witch powers. Since we've had a couple people in the series, like Yamada, who've had sort of witch powers, but they aren't exactly a witch. So they introduced her, and then they immediately kind of drop her later. It's like, nope, but she doesn't apply to this other situation. So it's like, god dang it.
Yeah.
It just started getting really messy in the second arc, where it did actually seem like it was going in a good direction at first. You know, this idea that, oh, they weren't able to just wish away the witch powers that are still there. That's a good conflict. That's the characters figuring out, wait, let's figure out a way to do this even more permanently. But then it started really diverging into the characters realizing, oh, so we didn't just have our memories kind of tampered with at the end of our second year with Yamada and the Seventh Witch. We actually had them basically erased our first year, and we're trying to refigure out all of those. And A, I thought the reasoning behind that was kind of weak. Like, the in-story reasoning for why it happened was kind of weak. And B, it just got really complicated on a meta level, just figuring out when this happened, who remembers anything, you know, who was involved, why. It just was too complicated, I felt like.
Yeah. Like, I think the only constant was just that, okay, Yamada-kun definitely knew Shirashi at some point, even earlier than he had realized in the first place. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, why did he forget? Why did he forget her? Why did this happen? And that's when we get into the situation where we're stunned that they decided, like, oh, hey, we're just going to make sure we forget about that Shirashi kind of existed.
Yeah. And
forget everybody forgetting her is a little like okay. And then they finally lay on the backstory of Shirashi, where she was literally like a very smart, but just like really, really like devoted in the studies like that. Like, it makes me kind of think of those stories where you hear about those really smart kids, but they're just like, that's all they're focused on because either parental upbringing and stuff like that you hear about in real life. That was basically Shirashi. And then literally all it took for her to, I guess, change was meeting Yamada.
And Yamada calling her boring and her yelling, "I'm not boring!" Honestly, I think of the stories of, a character who's basically just devoted to their studies. I feel like My Little Monster did that better, since that was just more entertaining, with the characters figuring out why they were so devoted to their studies and dealing with relationships early on as well. And I also have to say, the Yamada and Shiraishi relationship is really, really cute. Like, they're a really cute, sweet couple together. Shiraishi is occasionally a little too trusting, but Yamada-Kun also comes off as this genuinely good, kind of goofy guy who is a little flustered at having to kiss so many people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's probably actually reacting normally, honestly.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like, you get told you have to kiss a bunch of people all the time. Like, yes, it's definitely a very normal occurrence.
And that's why I kept going with it, partially since I didn't think it was going to actually keep going for this long, once we got to a certain point. But it is genuinely funny in a lot of places. It has a lot of really fun comedy. It develops all of its characters enough to have, really fun interactions, play off each other. It's just very goofy and silly, kind of rom-com. Like, one of my favorite scenes in the manga is where, I can't really explain the context for it since that's not going to help, but basically Yamada asks everyone what their favorite pair of underwear is, and everyone is able to give answers for both their own gender and the other gender, because everyone has spent enough time body switch, and they're like, "Oh, I prefer boxers over briefs. Yeah, I think thongs are kind of cool." Really, Miyamura? Really? I don't remember if Miyamura likes thongs or not, but probably.
Oh man, that's so far back.
Yeah, that was back in the first arc.
That's so far back. Favorite moments. Wow, I'm trying to actually think of one of the, like, not funnier moments. Like, I'm pretty sure that, like, there's this one moment that I definitely know I have one Yamada-Kun. I just can't think of it right now. But yeah, it's funny moments will definitely stand out. But some parts where he got serious was actually kind of cool, to me at least. I would just say, like, the ending part of it. Is it me or did it felt a little bit too idealized or something? Or is that even the right
totally
word
felt
I'm
like it was trying to be too neat and tidy. It totally felt like that.
Like, I mean, I can guess I can see it like you gotta have people that's gonna be successful and everything, but like, I don't know, like everybody's successful and
even the guy who keeps cooking
like
in the
that.
club room has like his own ikamen restaurant now. So
it's a 3-star restaurant. Yeah, it's a good. Yeah, the guy who was threatened, who was predicted to burn down the school building.
Yes.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Also,
I kind of remind. Oh, go ahead.
Also, you were right. The characters look kind of ugly as adults. Like, the guys just all look really weird. It's like they just changed the hairstyle a little bit, and they just look really ugly.
I would say I think Miramura is fine. But, like, the first time I saw Yamada as an adult, I was like, Miki, like, your editor should have stopped you with this drawing, like, right as soon as you finished. Or like, even got, like, halfway through the body, the face part of it. Like, what is this? The girls look okay.
Yeah.
But Shirashi still looks the same.
Shiraishi's secret witch power we never knew all along was not aging.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, that she doesn't age at all.
Although they do make a joke that the 7th witch still looks like her high school self, because she's still dressing the same cutesy way she did in high school.
Right.
Hopefully she's wearing underwear by now, but...
Oh god.
The series is a little bit raunchy, guys. Not terribly so. Like, there's definitely fan service in there, but it doesn't feel like as aggressively straight male oriented as some other fan service, which I do think it's because it's drawn by a woman. It just feels a little funnier, honestly.
Like, it doesn't compare to, like, Love Hina or, let's see, I guess Negima. Well, Negima, like, it has fan service, and it has more, it develops into more action. I guess straight fan service wise, can't think of. Okay, I'm just gonna go with Love Hina because I can't think of anything else right now. It's not like Love Hina. Let's go with that.
Yeah, I don't read as many fan service titles these days. I read some more when I was younger, just stuff that came up with it, and I feel like they're just kind of like, look, boobs and peaceful here. It's like, oh, and boobs,
Yeah, it can always be the same. But yeah, Yamada-Kun was... He was an experience, that is for sure. It's tough to say, like, if it got... Like, it definitely got worse as it went on, that's for sure. But I think it's still a pretty solid series, I think.
And I also had a friend tell me that Yoshikawa's previous series, I think it's Yankee-kun to Megane-chan. I think
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I had a friend tell me that series also had a not-so-stellar ending, so it could be that she's just weak on endings as well.
I guess when you get told, yeah, your series is ending, please wrap it up, like, immediately, I guess you just can't handle... I don't know.
You've got 5 chapters. Go.
Yeah. Try to resolve it by then. But I have so much more to story. Look, we should have ended this like 100 chapters ago. let's just go with that, please.
I still enjoyed it a lot until, it got pretty late later on, and then I was just kind of side-eyeing the manga going, what? Oh no, I'm so glad we've only got a few left. What are we doing?
Oh yeah, I just realized that. Wasn't there a chapter where you had one of the younger boys? What's his face? There was these twin boys. Mm-hmm. One was kind of the one that fought. The other guy, he was supposed to go to the school, but he actually, I think either he got sick or something like that.
Yeah, we had twin brothers, one who was supposed to go to the school, but then he got in the hospital, and so his other brother took his place, and his other brother turned out to be a witch at the high school since he was so unhappy at having to pretend to be his weaker brother.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, like, yeah, we say it's raunchy, like, there was this one shot where they actually have, his shirt off, and what was it, milk or something that got dropped on him or something?
I am not remembering this, and I'm very glad for it now.
Yeah, it gets pretty raunchy.
Especially since like Yamada's got to go around kissing all these people, all these guys and all these girls. So he's got to figure out a way to convince them to let him kiss them, so...
Yeah.
And then we had, the American exchange student who was just totally fine doing it, and then later everyone's like, Yamada, what were you doing? He's like, wait, what was I doing? What did this exchange do to my body? Because Justin, those Americans, we just kiss people all the time, everywhere.
Yes, it's totally what I do.
We totally greet people by kissing them on the cheeks and stuff like that,
Yeah, not in the lips or definitely on the cheek. Yeah, most definitely.
That's totally how you New Yorkers do it.
Anyways, I'm gonna pour out one for the other characters that unfortunately did not get to appear. Like, remember it's been a while, but remember the archery club president? Yeah,
she didn't appear in the anime, and I was sad because one of her few scenes in the manga is her judo throwing Yamada, who deserved it that moment.
Didn't she appear in it?
I think she might have appeared, but no, she definitely did. I'm pretty sure she didn't judo throw him. Yeah, but that was part of one of the arcs which had to get really shortened to fit 13 volumes of manga into 12 episodes or something pretty close to that.
Yeah. So yeah, Otsuki, I guess he was kind of the manga artist that's very shy, the drawer, the one with telepathy. Mm-hmm. Very shy. But she's like a military person whenever she can communicate with telepathy.
Which is one of the many instances where the witch powers are used to try and bring Yamada's grades up and have him not fail the grade.
Yes, cheating. Very much cheating.
That so many times. That is half the motivation for this story. I can't fail.
I know, right? Even though it's cheating, can't fail. We gotta find that second book. Can't fail. Yeah, it might have some pretty cool moments, I would say. Some weird and some bad, but some cool stuff.
And the story's heart is in the right place for a lot of it, since after Yamada and Shiraishi switch the first time, they keep doing it a lot because this allows Shiraishi to study a lot in Yamada's body, since no one's bothering him. He's alone, since everyone thinks he's this horrible delinquent. And this lets Yamada hang out in Shiraishi's body, and Shiraishi isn't really popular, but she doesn't have that stigma against her like Yamada does, so he's able to go out and make friends with other girls and have a fun time. And then when they switch back, nothing's happened to Yamada, except Shiraishi might have passed a test for him, and Shiraishi now has more people who want to hang out with her. So the story has its heart in a good place. It starts out with all these people who have witch powers because they're unhappy, and they're finding ways to become happier with them.
Yeah. And I guess like how they tried to wrap it up, like saying like Ito is now like a teacher, and she says that there's no such thing as like rich powers like anymore, like nothing like at all, and they implied that like maybe it's something that we like it's something of our imaginations and stuff.
That is bullshit. I hate those endings.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like,
acknowledge that it happened. Just say maybe this was a once in a lifetime thing, but don't be like maybe we imagined this whole thing. Dude, you guys probably did not imagine like checking out your boobs that many times as a girl. Like,
yeah,
probably did not.
And then they brought it back to how I first started. The very first chapter where it's a book.
God, I hate those endings too so much.
Yeah. Oh, we're really going back to the first chapter, aren't we?
No. Get off this crazy train.
You would do this.
So yeah, I think that's Yamada-Kun. I think that's all the thoughts I've got.
Yeah. That's literally all I got, honestly.
Justin and I genuinely did enjoy the story.
We would not have read it this far if we did not enjoy it.
True, neither of us have the time otherwise. But it just started getting a little crazy and we're like, oh god, please stop, please stop, please stop soon.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to fight me on my views of Yamada-Kun, you can find me on Twitter at Wandering Dreamer, and you can also find me posting manga reviews on the site, although don't start to fight me on the comments for any of my manga reviews on Yamada-Kun. Like, that is just not the most effective way to fight me.
Please comment on her articles. Just do that, please. And fight her. Do that on her... not on Twitter. Don't actually fight her on the Twitter. My Twitter is...
Well, I was going to say, like, it's just not effective since I probably won't see the comments until, like, 5 days later, so it's going to be a very ineffective way to fight me. That's my only complaint.
Okay, I'm on Twitter also, Kami_Nomi. I'm trying to use Twitter more. Like, last night, I ended up spending a time ranting about how I have been reading blogs recently, and I'm disappointed in myself for not doing it because I've been missing out on a lot of stuff. So, yeah, I'm trying to get on it more.
I missed this rant. I missed this, Justin. I'm sorry.
Please let us know how we're actually doing on this podcast. Like, rate and review us on iTunes. Just say good stuff about us. Just, like, give us a rating. Just let us, like, in general, just do something. Anything. Almost. Just don't let us know how bad we are. Please don't. I can't take it.
And let us know if we're having any audio issues. Like, we know there's always a lot of sirens in the background of Justin's place, since he just lives that wild and crazy life.
New York life!
We have a really hard time.
New York life.
We have a really hard time figuring out if we're having audio trouble or not on this podcast.
Please let us know. And I think with that, I'm going to try to watch more anime. Maybe?
Good plan, Justin.
Probably do that, yeah. See you later, guys.
Bye!